Hello, Bonnie. It's Scott Fox from ExpertWebsiteReviews.com. Today we're going to talk about, well, Bonny Hawley art. It's a lovely website, and I'm going to try to help you get it up to the next level to see what you can do to attract some more sales, as you requested when you ordered this personalized website review through ExpertWebsiteReviews.com. First of all, thanks very much for your pledge to the ArtFairInsiders.com pledge drive. They appreciated your donation very much, and congratulations on winning this free website review from me. If you're someone else watching this video later on YouTube or ExpertWebsiteReviews.com or one of the other places it's distributed, I'm Scott Fox, and you can get an expert website review like this one by going to ExpertWebsiteReviews.com, and I'll hook you up like we're just about to do here for Bonnie. All right, Bonnie, so let's talk about your website. Obviously, you've taken the approach here of having your work do the talking, which makes good sense. It's beautiful work. I like the approach of mixing both the art itself, which would be this, as well as some pictures of it set in some actual living environments. That really helps to identify the use, what in the techie world they would call the use case. How is this used? What is done with it? And these pictures show that very nicely. And then you click on them and it takes you into more details of your different types. Obviously, you've spent some time on the menu along the side over here so that people can find the sizes and shapes and orientations that they want for the different work that they're looking for to decorate their homes or offices. Beautiful palettes, very nice, tasteful colors, and so forth. I'm sure you've done very well with this, and I'm happy to try and help you here to get the website up to the level that your paintings are. So, okay, so what can we talk about that will be helpful to you that would involve changing your website? Well, let's see. As a web designer and usability expert, I've got a number of suggestions for you, and these all go along, I think, in the same direction that you emailed me about. You said it sounds like you have inventory issues, and that makes sense because you are an artist and you have original work, so it's hard for you to, I understand you don't just put up a pair of socks and sell them until you run out because they're all the same, right? You have original work. So you said to me, my site is all available inventory that I currently have. I keep it up to date. So that's great. So a lot of artists, they put up sample stuff, and then that stuff isn't really for sale, and it leads to confusion on the part of customers because they can't really buy what they see on the site, and then there's back and forth, and it leads to lots of customer service. But you're keeping it up to date, which is great. So everything, I presume that means, to be specific, that everything that we can see on the website here today is actually available. So if I wanted to, for example, buy Soaring Spirit, this acrylic piece, for $1,800, that is available. And that certainly makes it easier for everybody, I would think. Okay, now you only do originals and no prints, and that's why you don't have the inventory. That makes sense. You don't always show pricing because you have what we call channel conflict. You have retail channels of different levels and wholesale channels competing with each other potentially because you said you can show and consign in different brick-and-mortar art galleries, and many times they have to mark it up. No surprise, right? So you only show a few prices here and there just to give an idea. So we got lucky here with the Soaring Spirit with a price tag on it. Here's another one, Sea Siren, $2,400. So that's helpful. I always like to see prices. I know that I understand your channel conflict issue. There's not a good answer to that. So I think you've done about the best you can do there. You give some ideas and people click around and they realize, okay, these things cost a couple grand. They're not $50,000. They're not $50. You know, you get them in the ballpark. I don't have a better answer. I don't think anybody does. So I think you're fine on that point. Let's see. The site is hosted by Artspan because you like to be in control of it. I'm constantly updating and changing out pictures. Good job. A lot of artists kind of just put it up there and treat it like a print brochure. They did the printing of it, and it's done. And that's not a great way to encourage sales, right? You need to have a dialogue and keep the inventory fresh. You sell at least 2 to 5 big pieces a month, and add 2 to 5 pieces a month. And now you're looking to target new clients, designers, private and corporate designers who are interested in original art. Okay, so that all sounds good, makes sense. So let's talk about what else we can do. I think you've done a nice job. Obviously, you're the artist here, not me, but I do admire the palette. You've done a nice job of keeping everything in the same tones, and your work reflects the same sort of palette that I gather you are inspired by living near the ocean, right? A good idea, by the way, to put these watermarks on your pictures. I'm sure you're familiar with that issue of having your work pirated. So nice job on that. Okay, so what can we change? Well, normally I give a lot of advice about sprucing things up and making it more eye-catching. For example, the top of the site, along the top there, all you have is your name. There's no logo, there's no slogan, there's no sort of click here. But in your case, I think you may be right, because you really want people to look at the work, not at your different bells and whistles, right? So I noticed you don't have, for example, many sites these days have a Twitter logo and a Facebook logo. You know, follow me over here and like me over here and look at my YouTube channel and, you know, share some Instagram and all these little bells and whistles. Frankly, quite distracting. So you've kept this minimal but effective, and I think that's the right idea. Of course, it could be a little fancier, the very plain text of Bonny Hawley. I mean, you might, I think it wouldn't hurt to say a little something. You know, a tagline can really frame the issue for visitors. Something, you tell me, but something like fine quality, large-scale wall art for homes and offices, or something like that, just to sort of frame the issue, right? The big question for an artist like you is, how are people finding you? Because what I'm saying is really important if you are finding random people coming to your site. For example, you're marketing through search engines, or you're doing pay-per-click ads or something like that, where people aren't necessarily looking for you, but they're looking for stuff like this. And if that's the case, if you're doing some search engine optimization and outreach, which we could talk about if you'd like, then you want to have keywords about that on your page. So you said in your note to me, you use words like private designers, corporate designers, and the keywords you are targeting, you said large-scale wall art. Well, I don't see those words anywhere on here, right? I don't see the words large-scale wall art, and they might be here somewhere, but I don't think so. So if you want people using Google to find you when they're searching for large-scale wall art, you need to put those words on the page. And not in a graphic logo either, but actually the words. So that's why I'm suggesting perhaps here, Bonny Hawley, hyphen or colon, first-class large-scale wall art for homes and offices, or something like that, or award-winning, like a large-scale wall art, something like that. And then you want to sprinkle those words throughout the site. Now, search engine optimization is a specialty that takes more time than we're going to have today during this website review, but I've been doing it for years. I've written books on it. If you'd like more discussion of this, I run a forum, the Masterminds Forum, and you can go to mastermindsforum.net and you can join us. It's $39 a month, and we can talk about this all day, literally 24/7. There's myself and people from all over the world, and we can help you search engine optimize the site. Or we could do another one of these just on SEO if you'd like too. That's a different way to do this, I guess. Anyway, I think just a little more copy, meaning text, could help you qualify your visitors. Now, if all your visitors are finding the site because they already saw you at an art show, or they came into one of the galleries that represents you, something like that, then maybe not so important. But since I think you're looking to grow your market, I think having a little more, just a little more hand-holding for the visitor would be helpful to people, and perhaps get you showing up in the search engines so that your site shows up when people search for things like the things that you want to sell, which I gather is large-scale wall art. And I would think you might even go a little farther and add a couple other words here and there. You tell me, but things like ocean-inspired, or you have a very restricted color palette here, so you know something about. I think people, when they shop for art, they often shop by color, right? So you might say blues and tans and grays, large-scale wall art. Okay, so I'm beating that to death, but I think you got the idea. All right, so now here's some things I would like to change. The main thing I'd like to change is that you have no call to action, Bonnie. You're treating this like a gallery, and I guess it is a gallery, but the thing is, it's really not. In the real world, you have a gallery. There's a whole context that's outside the gallery that is dictating the terms of the engagement before the person even walks in, and you're missing that here. What I mean is, if somebody goes to an art gallery, they know, first of all, that they're going to an art gallery. They have an intention of looking for art, and they have probably already picked a gallery that represents the kinds of art they're looking for. So they've already narrowed the funnel down quite a bit in terms of what their intention is. If you come to your site, so my point is, then they walk into the gallery, they are there because they want to look at the art and maybe buy something. That's a given. They've already kind of metaphorically got their finger on the buy button. Now here on the internet, you don't have any of that context. They come to the site and they see your homepage and it's pretty, but you have no call to action. Even in a gallery, you have usually an attractive or educated or both sort of person standing there saying, wouldn't this look lovely in your house? You know, we can give this to you, we can ship it, you know, what are you looking for? They're massaging the sale a little bit, moving towards, of course, the actual handing over of the credit card. You don't have that here, but I think you need it. You need some language or some call to action. So I would think about adding a couple words to the site, like we already talked about, in terms of describing what your mission is and making the calls to action more obvious. And I think the calls for action for you are something like call me, or even place an order. I mean, I know you think you can't sell all these things because you don't have prices, but I think you can. I think you'd rather have the problem of running into that channel conflict a little more often than not getting the sale, at least when they're a couple $1,000s a piece. I mean, these can really add up, right? So I think your homepage and everywhere else, you need a couple language, a little more language that is of the, okay, you're here, now do this. So usually websites have 2 or 3 calls to action, a hierarchy that you should implement throughout the site. Usually, of course, buy is number 1. But I have another number 1 that's even more important that I'll talk about in a second. But in your case, you've buried the buying down here in purchase info. It's just this one little link, and even then you're going to make me call you or maybe send you an email, and it's not, you're not helping. You're not making it sound like you really want the sale, I guess is what I'm saying. So contact the studio or one of my galleries for pricing. You accept PayPal. Okay, but how about, I know this is going to sound terrible, but how about a buy button or a button or something that's not just this very subtle plain text? You're being so classy, you're hurting yourself, I think. Ask them to take an action. Call me now at this number. I'd be happy to help you. I would put your face on it. I don't think I hit your CV earlier. Let's see. There you are. Yeah, you're an attractive lady. Put your picture on this purchase info page. The contact, isn't that the same thing? I wouldn't even have a contact page. The only reason you want them to contact you is for a discussion more or less about purchasing, right? Don't you hope every conversation leads towards purchase? So I would put the contact and the purchase info together. And maybe even the bio, well, the bio has its own use as well, because you have stuff like this, right? All good stuff, but you really want to move the purchasing and the encouragement of purchasing up. So I would contract these two together, contact and purchase info, and put up here, put purchase right near the top. And I would put a link somewhere up on the top bar that allows people to take action. Now here's the other thing that I think you need, which is really the action that you need, even more than the purchase. As much as I'm big on having you sell more stuff, it's this little item way down here. In fact, it's so low I can't even get it on the screen. Way down, it's right about here. I'm trying to see, can you see where I'm pointing? There. It's about there, off the screen, and it says, join our email list. Like it's a secret. So why are you hiding that? Now I'm just teasing you, of course, but this join email list, that's your #1 goal of all these visitors. I don't know what you think your goal is. Your site is designed such that apparently you think your goal is to show them some stuff and then hope something happens. So I'm here to help you move that up the assertiveness chain, and let's make the #1 goal to get their email address. Get that email address, and then you can send follow-ups forever until they unsubscribe, of course. And I know you're not necessarily in the publishing business, but you need to build that email list so that you can take the indications of interest from anybody who's interested and then follow up. And you can do this simply through an series of autoresponders. That's a tool, a simple email software tool that we can talk about again if you want to join our Masterminds forum. But you set up a series of emails that just once every month or 6 months just says, hey, I know you were interested in my work. Come over here and see the latest stuff. And just reminds them every now and then, bing, bing, bing. And you don't have to do anything. You set up those emails once, and they just go out over time, and they build your sales without you having to pack up your van and go to a show or haul things over to a gallery, any of that stuff. You can set up autoresponders to do the marketing for you, but you need to have a list. So that's something you didn't say in your order form, was what kind of email list do you have? And I'm guessing it's not a huge one because you're not prioritizing it. And that's my #1 takeaway for you here, Bonnie. This space up here, Your number one goal on this site is every visitor, and of course not everyone will, but your goal is to have everybody give you their email address. If you could even get half of them to give your email address, you're doing great. You know, one email address a day in a year, you've got 365 qualified, educated people who would be potential customers. 5 years from now, you've got 1,500 of them, right? That starts to be a business. It's your retirement plan, okay? So build the email list. These days, you often have to offer some sort of incentive, like a discount or a coupon or maybe a sneak preview behind the scenes of your latest work or something like that. Make it something fun. You know, a lot of art like this, and I know you know, is sold on a relationship with the artist or an aspiration to be a more creative person like the artist, right? So behind the scenes stuff, you know, maybe join my email list and I'll send you an exclusive photo essay or a little video with you that shows you in the studio. This is how I work, and here's my studio, and here's what I do. You know, behind the scenes tour of the Bonny Hawley art studio. That's kind of cool, right? And people will sign up for your email list. So of course you can just say, as you do now, join email list, but I would encourage you to prioritize that number one on the site. Well, after the pictures, of course, of your work, right? But your number one goal, you don't want anybody, if they found your website amongst all the billions of websites in the world, to leave without signing your guest book. And the modern version of that is the email list. Okay, I suppose you heard me, but that's a big point. So I would like to see an email collector, much more prominent with some sort of incentive, and then clearer path toward purchase. I know you've got this channel conflict issue, I hear you, but you can do better than you're doing here. And if you want to make more money, I would do that. By that, I mean making the purchase easy and obvious. I know you don't want to give prices necessarily, but if all this, this is real vague, right? People that are used to the online world, like me, I'm not going to pick up the phone. I don't want to call you. I don't even want to email you. I want to know what it costs, and maybe I'll buy it. And I understand this is not, you know, a pair of shoes, right? This is a custom piece of artwork. But this approach is kind of, you know, 1990s version, right? Call me, use my email address, and even an AOL.com address. No offense, old school, right? Very old-fashioned. You know, replace that with a Gmail one, or how about Bonny@bhawley.com, right? Or sales@bhawley.com. That immediately says, oh, I'm dialoguing with this person who's going to talk to me about sales. Really good stuff for you, I think. So this whole approach should be a little updated in terms of click here to, you know, you can merge the contact form in here. Like I said, this stuff, not bad, but make it more specific. This is a very generic one. This is a standard package that probably comes with your hosting from WebSpan or ArtSpan. You might want to invest a little bit. Like, I don't know, why do they need your address, right? That's distracting to me. I would want a contact form that was a little more like a questionnaire that said, what kind of art are you looking for? Do you have a price range in mind? What colors are important to you? Do you have a size? You know, all the questions you would ask if you were in the gallery or the booth at the art fair with the customer. You can use that to pre-qualify people. Don't do that in front of the email sign-up. The email sign-up should be as easy as possible. Just get their email address, you're good. But if somebody's going to go and contact you, you can ask them a few questions and help qualify things really quickly, or you give them a buy button. And since you can't give them a buy button right away, see if you can get a dialogue going and give them something to click on. That's what people want, and what you need on the site is something to do. You've got lots of things to look at, and that's great because you're a visual artist, but what can they do? People are trained these days to get online and do stuff. So I guess that's a summary of what my question would be for you is, Bonnie, when someone comes here, what do you want them to do? What can they click on? Not just wander around. People are in a hurry these days. What are they going to do? They sign up for an email list, or some more assertive steps towards actually making a purchase. That's what I'd love to see for you, and I think would make a big difference for you in terms of getting more people taking action in here. And then the third is the search engine optimization, which I think could help you a lot. Getting some of those key phrases on the website more, and we can talk about that more if you'd like. And then the last is, I love the idea you said in your email to me, people don't buy art directly from the website without seeing it in person, or the piece photoshopped in their home. Photoshopped in their home. That's amazing to me. that's a real interesting opportunity in business. So if what you're talking about is taking pictures like this one and kind of what they send you, I'm making this up, but what do? They send you a photo of their house and then you kind of paste the picture in there to see what it would look like. I think that's fabulous. Like this, you paint. I think that's a great service, and that is the sort of techie thing, even if it's not super techie. I mean, you're doing it yourself by hand, that's fine. But I would put that in here, or even up in the top somewhere along as your third priority. So first, get the email. Second, make some action toward a purchase. And third, ask me to create a customized mock-up of how the favorite work that you find on my site will fit in your living room. I mean, you can word it more cleverly than I have. But that idea is very interesting. That sort of custom service would really add value, and I think people would appreciate it, especially designers and decorators in the corporate market. That sort of custom thing, I think that's a thing for you, and that to me would fit nicely into the third slot. As I said, I usually recommend having 2 or 3 priorities, or 4, but 3 is good. 3 priorities for you: email, sales, and then photoshopping a custom preview for people. That's really interesting and cool, I think. At least it would be to me. All right, so anyway, I've gone on long enough. This is an expert website review for Bonny Hawley, who is a generous donor to the Art Fair Insiders Pledge Drive. Thanks for your support at artfairinsiders.com. I'm Scott Fox from expertwebsitereviews.com, and this is one of the many things I do, which is review websites like Bonny's. So if you're in the market for large-scale wall art that's as attractive as this, please do head over to bhawley.com. And if you'd like customized coaching for your internet business, or any small business really that's active on the internet, come on over to mastermindsforum.net, and I will work with you along with people from all over the world. We have a great forum there full of friendly people who will help you get your business up to the next level. So thanks for watching, and thanks again, Bonny, for your order. And good luck with bhawley.com. I hope you sell lots more of your beautiful art.